Pop music in 1990 was a wild experience. New queens like Paula Abdul, Taylor Dayne, and Mariah Carey stood shoulder pad to bustier with 80s ladies Madonna and Janet Jackson. Hip-hop broke into the mainstream in a big way with MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. The last gasp, so hair metal still clung to the airwaves like so much Aquanet residue. Club music somehow found its way into the top 40 radio airplay, and the totally unsubtle vocal stylings of Michael Bolton, Wilson Phillips, and others gave sad white people the confidence they needed to rock high-waisted jeans and pleated khakis. What a time to be alive! So join us as the great pop culture debate goes back to the beginning of the end of the 20th century as we name the best song of 1990. I'm a reverse MC Hammer, a nope on the floor, and I'm tragic on the mic. And I am giving you permission, nay, begging you, please touch this. I'm your host, Eric Rezsnyak. Please help me welcome my panelists for this throwback episode. They had style, they had grace. Our first panelist has neither. It's Derek Mekita.
But I am known to give good face.
Strike a pose. There's nothing to it, Derek. Welcome back. Next, doctors recently removed the groove from his heart. Please welcome back Jim Czadzeck.
Yeah, recovery's going well, but they do say that the rhythm is going to get me.
Gloria Estefan, you will never be satisfied until every one of us tests positive for rhythm. And finally, stop, collaborate, and listen. Jonny Minogue is back with a brand new invention.
Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a homo, daily and nightly.
Word to your mother. And that word specifically is that you're a tramp. And that's why we love you. And up in the producer booth, we have Bob Erlenbach, who, spoiler, is the person who started that fire that Billy Joel keeps talking about. If you're curious about how we ended up with this Sweet 16, become a Patreon supporter of our little show, or listen to the 3-minute preview available wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, you can head to this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com to find the listener bracket so that you can play along with us at home. While you're there, check out some of our other related episodes, including Best 90s Dance Hit, Best Song of 1994, and Best Song of 1999, all available at greatpopculturedebate.com. With that out of the way, let's pump up the jam, pump it up, while the feet are stumping. First up, the majority of the panel wants to keep chilling with one seed Ice Ice Baby and Vanilla Ice, but Jim is saying dough as he raised his objections in favor of the laws and 4 seed There She Goes. Jim, say it isn't so. Spill the tea to me. And that is the most tortured thing I've ever written as an intro on this podcast. Jim, take it away.
I wanted to give the laws kind of their due. And maybe I can convince you all against Ice Ice Baby, which I know is kind of iconic of the 90s. But as I thought about this song, I think of it as in a lot of movie soundtracks, The Parent Trap, Girl Interrupted, some of my favorites, Adventures of Pete and Pete, Snow Day, So I Married an Axe Murderer, and the pilot episode of Gilmore Girls. It's in all of those things. It's just kind of part of our culture. It might not say 1990s, but it's definitely a hint at what the 90s vibe would be coming, that kind of 1960s reference, what would Britpop would be just a few years later. Actually, Rolling Stone magazine stated that the La's single There She Goes off their self-debuted album endured as a founding piece of Britpop that was to come just soon afterwards. It's one of those songs that's you might not think about how it was ahead of its time. It's just kind of the song that was, that There She Goes. It's just in the background. Noel Gallagher from Oasis stated that the band's mission was to finish what the La's started. It's got this musical quality that I think is well produced, especially for the time of 1990. It's kind of timeless. Maybe it's forgettable. Like we've forgotten that it's from that era. Maybe on the authenticity of 1990 specifically, it might not fit, but it is definitely groundbreaking. So it probably won't, I'd love to fight to win this one, but it might not. But I wanted to give them their due.
You did a great job, Jim. Honestly, you made me really think about it because it's true. It really was kind of ahead of its time from a Britpop perspective. The stuff that came out 4 or 5 years later absolutely fit this vein. With that being said, it is a 3-1. Derek, are you sticking with Ice Ice Baby?
I am sticking with Ice Ice Baby, yep.
Jonny Minogue, you sticking with Ice Ice Baby?
I am, although I would wonder if the laws would have been gotten into a brother fight like the Oasis did. So
it's a great question.
I think it's. But I'm gonna stick with Ice Ice Baby.
You were gonna say something, Jim?
Well, it's interesting as I kind of dove in a little bit about it's like their only album, so like it was like this huge moment but I guess they just mastered it and they just said we're done and they're out. I don't know.
Well, at least they got that royalty money from Sixpence on the Richer. So
That's right.
Mm.
And that is another good point. They had a very important cover with that one song. But, you know, much like the Law's career, this song, there she goes. And we will be moving Ice Ice Baby into round 2. Next, it's 2 unanimous decisions as one-hit wonder Hall of Famer Alana Miles and her Black Velvet, a 2-seed, will continue to make noise in the bracket instead of Depeche Mode and 3-seed Enjoy the Silence. And Dee-Lite and 1-seed Groove is in the Heart led to Whitney Houston and 4-seed I'm Your Baby Tonight being aborted in the first term of our bracket. I'm so sorry I had to do it. It's one of the worst things I've ever written. Johnny, you wanted to speak briefly on Enjoy the Silence. Derek, you wanted to coo over Whitney's Baby. Derek, why don't you go first?
Yeah, it's one of Whitney's classic bangers, and it did hit #1 on Billboard's Hot 100, so it is a strong contender. It also showed her versatility in the evolving 90s R&B scene, being her first foray into New Jack Swing. I suspect we all love this track. It's just up against Groove is in the Heart, which is so painfully 1990 in the best way possible.
Yeah. This is a great Whitney track, by the way. Like, honestly, we again listen to the best Whitney Houston song episode. It's so good. But yeah, it's not from a lack of love. Johnny, we've actually very rarely talked about Depeche Mode on this podcast. We need to fix that. But what about Enjoy the Silence?
Enjoy the Silence was really a turning point. Well, the whole Violator album from 1990 was a real turning point from this was their second single off of that album. It's darker, it's more sexual than their work before. I mean, Adam Kahan's voice is peak, and it really marked a change. It's much darker, and it really set influence for the next decade of music. And amazing video, haunting, and a hidden track within the album version of that. It stands up today, 35 years later, as an amazing track. But again, it was up against another one of my karaoke faves. So
yeah, this is such an important song, and really we do need to find a way to talk about Depeche Mode. But I wouldn't have picked it as 1990. I was stunned when I found out it was a 90 song. Absolutely stunned. So that's why I didn't pick it. But great job. We will be continuing Black Velvet and Groove is in the Heart into round 2. Next 3/4 of the panel want to strike a pose with 2-seed Vogue by Madonna. But Jim wants to keep fighting with the rock and roll cola wars in defense of 3-seed We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. Jim, see if you can feed the flame to keep fire raging in this bracket. I will try everything I can to escape the pain of life that I know and live my ballroom fantasy with Vogue. Jim, why don't you go first?
As I look out at the panel,
Good luck.
I'm sure I'll convince you all
Good luck.
to
And
vote
don't
against
fuck it
Madonna
up.
Vogue.
Yeah.
No, I thought it would just be interesting, so I picked the other one. No, I don't think it'll win, but I think it's that rapid fire, well known. It doesn't have the 90s. It's identifying a lot of the things that were in the conversation. It is timeless in the sense that it's been parodied in certain ways. It is fun for that nostalgic kind of recall of that. It's covered, remade parodies. I think it's a well-known one, but again, what is it up against? That's a little bit harder to say. If we were debating another fast song, It's the End of the World as We Know It by REM, would that pair up? Probably not. Still. Or maybe One Week by Bare Naked Ladies. No, not at all. But yeah, that fast-paced kind of style of song. Here's Billy Joel throwing his hat in the ring, and a lot of iconic items identified in the song.
I think it's hilarious that these two songs are up against each other because literally both of them have lists about dead white people. Like that's the whole, that's a significant part of both of these songs.
and a couple of the same ones.
Yeah, they're both name checked. Listen, I love Billy Joel. We just did a Best Billy Joel episode. Funnily enough, this song didn't even make the top 16 in that episode, which I think is so interesting. I just don't think it's one of his best loved songs, you know? And at the end of the day, one of these songs is cunty and one of them is not. Now, I don't think that Billy Joel was ever being like, you know what? My aesthetic is cunty, but as a cocksucker, I have to go with it. It's like the law. So, also, I'm wearing a t-shirt in which He-Man and Skeletor are voguing. So that's where my affinities lie. Johnny, has he swayed you? Are you sticking with Vogue?
Oh, hell no. I'm not going to be swayed. But I will say that is my favorite Billy Joel songs. And if I was up against those other two songs that you mentioned, I would have picked We Didn't Start the Fire. And it's another karaoke track that I do. But it's Madge. It's
Madge. It's Madge. It's Madge. Derek, is it going to be Vogue or is it going to be We Didn't Start the Fire?
It's still going to be Vogue. And honestly, if you had to ask me when We Didn't Start the Fire came out, I never would have guessed 1990. It could have been any time in the late 80s, any time in the early 90s. Like, it could have been any time. It doesn't have that iconic 1990 feel. It's kind of timeless in that way.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's another one that kind of shocked me. It came out that year. So we will be moving Vogue into round 2. Next, the bulk of the panel saying my in regards to MC Hammer and 1 seed You Can't Touch This. But Johnny wants to warn us about the dangers of ignoring Belle Biv DeVoe and 4 seed Poison. Johnny, kill us with kindness regarding Poison. Derek, tell us why we need to take a stop because it's Hammer time. Johnny, please go first.
Both of these songs really moved R&B and rap into another world, and I think it's really tough to have these two songs up together. I'm going to go with Poison and just say why I think it should go forward. It was the first track by Belle Biv DeVoe. If you don't know who they are, they're 3 members of New Edition. After Bobby Brown went solo, they got together and put in a New Jack Swing. I say New Jack Swing a lot in this episode because that's 1990 for you. But this is their very first song. It was a exciting and innovative song for the time. So New Edition was very boy band, but when the 3 of them got together, they put in a very interesting match that did not happen that much in 1990, where you had an R&B track with really intense percussion down at the beginning, and then there's the tenor of Belle, and then in the middle of it you have Bivens rapping. Did that happen much in 1990 or before that? No, very limited. And this is one of the first rap R&B crossover songs that were mashed them together. And it was number 3. It was on the Billboard charts. It was number 66 end of the year charts. It was just amazing. And you know what? It let me know you can't trust a big butt and a smile.
You can't.
Which you can't.
You can't do it.
You can't. And trust me, I still believe it every single time. And I go, no. BBV said no. But anyway, it is amazing. And it still slaps to this day. Young kids dance to it all the time. But again, it's hard against the Hammer.
Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. You know, that's what I have to say. But that being said, amazing argument, Johnny. And you used the exact right word to describe this song. Slaps. God damn. Poison sounds just as good today as it did 35 years ago. Jim, did he sway you? Are you going to stick with You Can't Touch This?
I think everything you said is spot on. Sadly, in some ways, MC Hammer is the soundtrack of middle school for me. So like it's hard to shake that.
Yeah, although Hammer did know how to shake. He was actually very impressive with the dancing. Derek Mekita, are you sticking with MC Hammer?
Yes, it's still Hammer time.
It is still Hammer time. Which is the better song? It's 100% Poison. It's
Yes.
that is and you use the term inventive. One of the things I kept discovering during my research on this was how inventive the music was that year. People were taking chances, and boy, is Poison a great example of it. But You Can't Touch This and MC Hammer were definitively 1990. Just definitive defining that year. So I am giving it to Hammer, and MC Hammer and You Can't Touch This will continue into round 2. It's another unanimous decision, as the panel has decided that the clothes actually do make the man when it comes to George Michael and 2-seed Freedom 90, meaning that Sinead O'Connor and 3-seed Nothing Compares to You was shaved out of this bracket. Next, it's a split decision, as half of the panel wants to be part of Janet Jackson's 4-seed Rhythm Nation, while the other half is here for the house party that is 1-seed Love Shack by the B-52s. Johnny, bang on the door, baby, as you try to get us to shack up with the B-52s. Derek, please present your passport to funk as you proclaim your allegiance to Rhythm Nation. Derek, please go first.
Please don't get me wrong. I love Love Shack. It is iconic in its own right. But it was only a few days ago that I learned that it qualifies as a track from 1990, because to me, it feels so very mid to late 80s in its retroness. Whereas Janet and the icon that is Rhythm Nation, ooh, that was a moment in time. It brought something truly unique in its sound, to say nothing of it being an absolute banger of a music video. The message it conveys and the innovation and influence it produced are so noteworthy. It aimed to show a multiracial, socially conscious society unified by music. It's got all the 90s hallmarks: industrial pop, new jack swing, R&B, dance pop. It heralded a new sound that would explode in the 90s, and Janet was right there at the forefront. It peaked at number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 and helped the album Rhythm Nation become the only album in history to produce 7 top 5 singles on the Hot 100. 7.
Wow, that
It's
is
crazy.
incredible.
So
Yeah.
for all those reasons, it gets my pick in this very, very tough matchup.
That is a fascinating fact. Jonny Minogue, talk to us about Love Shack.
So the B-52s have been around for a while, more as a college radio band, and the Love Shack and Cosmic Thing really brought them into the forefront of pop music. So this was released in 1989, but didn't really hit until 1990. And the video that accompanied it with is so colorful, so fun. You have Tin Roof, Rusted. No, it is not about being pregnant, which is an urban myth. It is just something that Cindy Wilson screamed in the studio. It is so queer. It is so fun because everyone except Cindy is now gay, including Kate. She is married to a woman now, and it had RuPaul in the video. It's so much fun. At every single white person wedding, they are playing that song. Even though I'm arguing for this, I'm switching my vote to Rhythm Nation because it is overall just the more powerful song. And I think Janet, that really made her the icon that she is. 1814 and 1990 all wrapped up into one. So we're not going to have a tie. I'm breaking this tie, even though I'm arguing against it.
I live. All right, Jim, are you going to go with Love Shack? You're going to go with Rhythm Nation?
Well, I was torn too. I was going with Love Shack, and then you made such a good argument. I don't know. Does it even matter at this point?
Well, let's see. If you vote for Love Shack and I vote for Love Shack, it would still continue. Right now we have 2 for Rhythm Nation. Where do you want to go?
I still think of Love Shack personally when I think of in the early 90s. I know it is still kind of reflective of the 80s. I think in my head, it's along with that MC Hammer. They're kind of play next to each other in my head. So I think I would stick with that, even though it's a tough one.
I gotta say, I'm gonna switch to Rhythm Nation here. I'm gonna do it. And I think the point is Love Shack is timeless to me. Love Shack could have come out in the 70s. Love Shack could have come out in the 80s. Love Shack could have come out anytime in the 90s. It was like, it doesn't feel set in a particular place of time. It's like in its own pocket universe where people are gay and having fun and like dancing in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
That's kind of B-52s in a nutshell, right?
It is.
They're timeless and they're on their own planet.
Yep, it's a cosmic thing, just like the album, right? Whereas this Janet track is, I think Derek's point is very well taken, the kind of impetus for so much of R&B crossover pop in the 90s. I'm going to go ahead and give it to it. So congratulations, Rhythm Nation, a 4 seed. This is a Cinderella story. Continues into round 2. Finally, in round 1, it's one more split decision between 2 diametrically opposed classics. 2-seed Hold On by Wilson Phillips and 3-seed Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic. Derek, move the conch in your trunk as you make room for Technotronic. I will tell you why I am comfortable with the pain and am going to sustain for Hold On. I'll go first. Few songs are less subtle than Wilson Phillips' Hold On. It is so earnest and so utterly lacking in cool that it is endearing in its corniness. And above all else, it's so catchy. And the harmonies are frankly stunning. It was written by group members and Mamas and the Papas Sion, China Phillips and Carney Wilson as a message to China's self while dealing with substance abuse and a bad relationship. And when you know that, you're just like, oh, I can't even dunk on you, because actually this is a really great, important song, right? Part of my rubric for this whole episode is the 1990-ness of the songs. There is no other year that Hold On could have been released. It dropped right between the aggressively upbeat power ballads of the 80s and the sultry R&B slow jams of the 90s. It won the Billboard Music Award for Hot 100 Single of the Year in 1990, and in 2017, Billboard ranked it as number 15 in its 100 Greatest Girl Group Songs of All Time. And of course, it had a massive cultural resurgence thanks to the 2011 comedy Bridesmaids. It was also co-written by Glenn Ballard, who just a few years later would go on to co-write much of Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill album, which is basically the antithesis of this song, and I just find that hilarious. This is a complete non sequitur, but it's my show and I'm going to say it. There was a gal who rode my bus in high school who was very clearly inspired by the sartorial stylings of Miss Carney Wilson. Big, wide-brimmed hats, massive duster, chunky scarf. And I thought she was so fucking chic. I couldn't tell you what her name was. I don't know what her journey is. But goddamn it, every time I hear the song, I think of her and I was like, you know what? These girls had it on lock. This is like women's empowerment in the 90s, and I love it. But that being said, Derek, talk to us about Pump Up the Jam.
Okay, hold on while I pump up this jam. You know that I have a huge soft spot for 90s dance music, especially the early tracks, right? And the importance of Technotronic's Pump Up the Jam cannot be overstated. It peaked at number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1990. It was a mega hit around the world. It was, like other songs that we've discussed, key to house music crossing over into the American mainstream after a decade of disco backlash that saw dance and electronic music basically relegated to clubs and the underground scene. It blazed a new trail that countless other Eurodance artists and DJs like CNC Music Factory and Snap and La Bouche would follow throughout the 90s and beyond. It was also kind of innovative in that it blended house beats and rap vocals to create kind of an entirely new genre, which was hip house. It became ubiquitous in clubs, on the radio, and on MTV. It became a sports stadium staple for its infectious hook. And it continues to be remixed, sampled, and featured in movies, ads, and video games. It also regularly gets name-dropped and inserted into nearly every episode of the Kunk On series. Okay, I'm done pumping you up. It gets my vote here.
I love it. If you haven't watched it, it's absolutely fucking hysterical the way they weave it in. Jonny Minogue, are you going with Hold On or are you going with Pump Up the Jam?
If you've listened to this podcast and you've listened to any of the episodes that I've had on, I think I brought up Wilson Phillips more than anybody. I think even more than Kylie Minogue.
It's true.
And I think your argument that you made that they were so corny, here's the thing. They were corny, but it came all full circle because they were so damn popular that year. Teenage girls loved them. The baby boomers loved them. It was just overall, that song was that year. If I think of 1990, I think of China Wilson's bowl haircut more than anything else. So I don't think not only were they that moment, that is the song.
All right, so that's one for Wilson Phillips. Jim Czadzeck giving me some Darth Sidious realness here in the shadows. What are you going for?
I was on the fence. I think just like the quick thought was that Pump Up the Jam was what I wanted to go with. As I prepared for this episode, what song out of the two got stuck in my head over and over? It was Wilson Phillips. And so that surprised me because, Eric, another thing you said was the uncoolness of it. Like, I think that's why I was like, no, I don't know. I don't like that one. But it's tough. Pump Up the Jam in my head also is like everything you said. It's all of those things introduced in that time period. And it's so fun. I had the two paired up in my rubrics. And fun was the one for Technotronic. I'll stick with it. Pump Up the Jam. But I'm really on the fence, to be honest.
So it's our soul split decision, and in this one, Wilson Phillips is the higher seed. It's a 2 seed, and Technotronic is a 3 seed. So the intense vaginal power of Wilson Phillips will continue into round 2. And that's a wrap for round 1, folks. We're going to take a quick break to pour another Black Velvet, which apparently is a drink made with champagne and beer, and that sounds disgusting. We'll be right back. And we are back for round 2 of our Best Song of 1990 debate. Before we get to the Elite 8, I want our panelists to share their social media accounts, what else they're working on, and what they were doing in 1990. I would like to start with Derek Mekita. Where can people find you? What you doing? What were you doing?
So you can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram. Yeah, Blue Sky and Instagram at DRKMKT. Those are the only 2 places you can find me right now. What am I working on? Myself, and darn it, that's enough. Where was I in 1990? Well, I was 9 years old, and I was just discovering my own kind of music genres, having my own little musical awakening. It would still be, I think, a year or 2 before I got my first dedicated CD player for my room. So I really wasn't controlling the music so much. So, but I also think that 9 might have been the first year that I was in dance school. So between tap and jazz, I started to get a lot of new music. And actually, now that I think about it, one of my first tap recital numbers was from the Dick Tracy soundtrack. So
Well, what was
that
it?
had
You
to have
can't
been
leave me.
1990. I don't remember
Was
which
it
one
More?
it was.
That's a great
No,
song.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'll think of it and we'll insert it or something. But
My
Just-
bottom hurts just thinking about it.
I say that all the time, Jonny Minogue, and nobody gets my reference. It's a great fucking line. The level of jealousy I have that you were able to take tap dance when you were a child, I can't even tell you. Thank you very much. Jim Czadzeck, where can people find you? What else you working on? And what were you doing in 1990?
I'm on Blue Sky. I haven't been using social media much at all. So what am I working on? Well, I was just told that I'm going to edit this episode. So there we go.
You are.
I'm
Surprise.
editing this. What was I? I was 10. So same story. Like I said, middle school soundtrack. This was, so all of the things that I initially want to advance forward, I also kind of underneath go like, oh, it was middle school, and so there's two sides. Like, yes, it deserves to be there, but it was in my mind at the time. But also, I've grown a lot since then. So I believe I really like some artistic elements that might not have been in some of these songs.
Yeah, the intense lost flashbacks to being in a roller rink with several of these songs kept happening as I was listening. And it was just like, ooh, this is like traveling back in time here. Thank you very much. Jonny Minogue, where can people find you? What are you doing? And what were you doing in 1990?
You can find me on pretty much everything as Jonny Minogue. One word, no H, like Kylie and Danny. I am hosting trivia at Club Cafe in Boston every Tuesday from 8 to 10. Come and join us. I'm also on WZBC every fourth Friday with my colleague John Whitney for Turbid Radio from 7 to 10 p.m. on Fridays. 1990, it was 10 into 11. And that summer, I was in what's called Contract. My fifth grade teacher, Mr. Salvador, organized us to walk across the state of Connecticut, 10 and 11-year-olds, God love him, and to raise money for charity. I don't remember what the charity was, but we had dances when we were camping out, and a lot of the songs on this bracket were songs that I danced to and had my first slow dance with a girl. Oh my God, shocker. During that time, I also looked like Sally Jesse Raphael's child. I had the mushroom haircut and the glasses. Well, could try to dig up a picture and you could see exactly what I was talking about.
Were the glasses red?
They were like a tortoisey red, so they weren't as bright as hers. I kind of wanted them, but it's probably good that it didn't go with that. But yeah, the shape and the haircut, oof, girl.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you I had Sally Jesse Red Raphael glasses. It's true. I barely wore them because I look like a geek, but I should have because my eyesight now is crap. So thank you very much.
You would have looked like a talk show host.
I would have, and I should have done that actually. So you can find us on Blue Sky at gpcd.bsky.social or at gpcd on Mastodon. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube where we're posting original video content. But what you really need to do is to sign up for our weekly newsletter, new every Tuesday at noon. It tells you about everything coming out in pop culture that week. Sign up by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. In 1990, I was 12. Once upon a time, there was a little white boy from the, I don't even know, Brewster Projects of Lafayette, New York. I don't even know where to go with this. Yeah, I was in, I guess, 7th grade, 6th to 7th grade, and it was dreadful. But we had great music, at least. We had that. Listen to 93Q in Syracuse and Y94, and that's where I listened to 9/10 of these songs. So this has been such a fun memory lane, and we're going to get back into it. Here comes round 2, and we're going to check out the hook while the DJ revolves it. I have no idea what those things mean, but we're going to do it. First up, it's 2 songs tangentially relating to drinks. 1 seed Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice and 2 seed Black Velvet by Alana Miles. Derek, give us some slow Southern style as you push for Velvet. Since we've got a problem, I'll solve it as I argue why we must advance Vanilla Ice. Derek, please go first.
I am so glad that we're talking about Alana Miles and Black Velvet because, man, was she robbed of a huge career in the 90s. My God, what happened to her is a cautionary tale of exploitation by the recording industry when it comes to royalties, to artist controls over the careers, to creativity. Black Velvet, simply put, it's one of the most iconic rock ballads of the early 90s. She's got that smoky, sultry, steeped in Southern blues influences, even though, fun fact, Alana Miles is Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Like many songs that we've been discussing, it peaked at number 1 on Billboard's Hot 100, but it also has the distinction of having won the 1991 Grammy for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance for Alana Miles. In fact, it's that unique blend of blues and country and rock that stood out in a year, as we've said, it was very dominated by pop and hip hop. So it brings something unique to these brackets, I think. Is this the song that launched the careers of 1,000 strippers? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. The lyrics pay homage to Elvis Presley and convey how his mystique and pop culture impact evoked nostalgia for that kind of time long past. It is still widely played on classic rock and adult contemporary radio and is one of the rare Canadian singles to reach number 1 here in the US. So in this matchup, Black Velvet gets my vote.
An incredible, frankly, song, right? And it is a bummer what happened to her. But let's talk about Vanilla Ice and Ice Ice Baby. Say what you will about Ice Ice Baby, but as a preteen at the time, when this was released, let me tell you, it was everywhere almost instantly. I distinctly recall walking into my 7th grade tech ed class. It was compulsory. I never would have taken it otherwise. And being mystified as all of the cool kids rattled off every single word of this song as if they were speaking in tongues or something. I was like, what is happening? And of course, I knew none of it. Like it or not, Vanilla Ice and Ice Ice Baby have the distinction of being the first hip-hop song to top the Billboard charts, and it was certified platinum, selling more than 1 million copies. Is it messed up that a white rapper is the first one that broke that barrier? 100%. But I would argue that this song was a gateway for a lot of suburban kids to get into hip-hop the way Eminem was roughly a decade later, and boy does Eminem hate Vanilla Ice, in part because of that fact, but it's still true. It's also, of course, notable for the copyright infringement case that resulted from the bass line being lifted from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure being used without their approval. Ice tried to argue that they weren't exactly similar. He failed and ultimately settled out of court. But given how widely used samples are in pop and hip hop now, Vanilla Ice was genuinely a trendsetter in this area, even if he quite literally ended up paying for it. Jim, where are you? Is it Vanilla Ice or is it Black Velvet?
I was already Vanilla Ice, but you just convinced me even more. I think some of those arguments are wonderful. And you know, a kid in that time period hearing Vanilla Ice, I'm again going back to that embarrassment thing I talked about. Because of this song, I was introduced to David Bowie and Queen, and now I'm a huge fans. They're on my top 10, you know, of those two bands, not Vanilla Ice. But that got me into what is the sample? Oh, I've heard it kind of before, and that, like, doing a deep dive with those bands and falling in love with them. Not that is exactly praising this song, but in some ways it is, because it was so popular you could not avoid it to some extent.
Could not avoid it. That's a great way of putting it. Jonny Minogue, is it Vanilla Ice or is it Black Velvet, if you please?
It's the little bitty ting. It's not the same. And it's like a song that was inspired by a white man who took black music and a white man doing black music. So it's the little bitty ting.
Yeah. So it's Vanilla Ice for you?
Vanilla Ice.
All right, we are going to move Ice Ice Baby into the final 4. Next, the bulk of the panel wants to keep having a ball with Madonna and 2-seed Vogue, but Jim is feeling delightful, truly delightful, as he picks 1-seed Groove Is in the Heart by Dee-Lite. Jim, pull on those bootsies and tell us why we should dig this groove. Jonny, let's get to it, strike a pose, and tell us why there's nothing to it. The answer is Vogue. Jonny, please go first.
We talked a little bit about Vogue already. It was part of the Dick Tracy I'm Breathless somewhat soundtrack, but it really wasn't. It was a Madonna album that she was just cosplaying as Breathless Mahoney, but it lives on. And the video, and did we talk about this video? I think we did in the
in the Madonna music video.
In the Madonna music video,
sure,
I think we did.
Yeah.
And if I remember, it was either the top or very close. It set the tone for so much of that year. It was, you know, she was drawing back to the classic cinema of the 30s and 40s, and the video was just like that black and white sepia tone, fabulous. And the backing vocals of Nikki and Donna, which you just don't get anymore from Madonna. She's stopped working with them almost 20 years ago. And then listing all of these classic stars who I didn't know who any of them were forever, but then I learned many, many years later. And then when she performed it at the 1990 VMAs, and she did it in the courtesan Hall of Mirrors sort of Marie Antoinette look, it was even as iconic as the video was. So she was able to reinvent it in such a different way for a different audience. I mean, that's the power of Madge. But it really set the tone for dance music for the next 10 years and made voguing a thing that came out of the Harlem ballroom scene and became something that kids in suburbia were doing, for better or for worse, but they were doing that. And Vogue is quintessentially 1990, more than almost anything else on this bracket.
Yeah, seriously. Jim, talk to us about Dee-Lite and Grooves in the Heart. Dig.
Can't explain it. This is like the one that out of the entire list of all of our songs we're talking about, this one is the number one for me in terms of feeling like the 90s. And it's one that also comes on that I will just listen to, not ironically or like cringy or nostalgically. It's just a good song in some ways too. And I think a lot of it is the prime example of that experimental genre blending and a lot of experimentation happening in the song that's really like unexpected and creative. And so it's quirky and it's an imaginative, and I find it very infectious as a song. And it's I don't know, it's so fun, I guess. It really is just the one that in my head is like, yeah, of course, that's 1990 right there. Even more so than some of the other ones that we've talked about.
I'll push back on one thing. It's not a good song. It's a great song. Like listening to all of these again, the thing that stuck out to me is the musicianship in Groove is in the Heart. The slide whistle is done with such great technical precision. I was like, who is this man? What is his journey? Like, it really is musically, it is an absolutely peerless song. But I'm curious, Derek, are you going to be Vogue or are you going to be Grooves in the Heart?
So I'm going to blow your mind a little bit and push back and say there are actually very few original recorded instruments for Grooves in the Heart.
No kidding.
It is mostly a sampled track. The slide whistle and I think a little bit of horns is the only musicianship that's through the whole thing. Everything else is just spliced together, which is just like this beautiful pastiche of like just crazy little pop culture references and things that like people like. You know, there's something from the Green Acres theme song in there that you wouldn't really pick up unless you really, dialed into it. Here's what I'm going to say. I think that Vogue is peerless. I think it is a perfect track. I also think we've talked about it a lot on this podcast. I think that Dee-Lite to me is the more interesting track. So I'm going to go with Dee-Lite here, actually.
I would still go with Vogue. So that gives us 2 for Vogue, 2 for Dee-Lite. And let's see. Dee-Lite is actually the 1 seed. Groove is in the Heart is in the 1 seed. So it will continue to the final 4. So get out your slide whistles, kid. Next, we may have a unanimous decision in favor of 1 seed You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer, which means that 2 seed Freedom 90 by George Michael may be released from this bracket. But I do want to talk about George. We didn't talk about the song at all in round 1. Freedom 90, and I don't think we realized it when we were listening to the song initially, is very much just not subtext, it's text. George Michael telling everyone, like, I'm locked into this record contract. I want to come out as a gay man, and I literally cannot. You cannot believe anything that's about to happen now because this is all to prove, like, the money man, right? But, when I picked which side my bread was buttered, I would have taken the knife as well. Like, my God, like, he said it all right there, and we all just went along with it. It's an incredible song. The lyrics are really insightful. And frankly, like, again, it took me 20 years to understand what he was trying to say. Beautiful melodies, great backing track, and we can't talk about the song without talking about the music video, in which George Michael, I don't think himself, maybe he makes a cameo, but it is the defining 90s supermodels. It's Cindy Crawford, it's Linda Evangelista, it's Naomi Campbell. There's a couple other ones in there, but
Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks is like, he changed the game on music videos with this one. If we were doing best music video of 1990, this is the winner. We're doing best song of 1990. I have to give it to You Can't Touch This, but we will do a George Michael episode of this podcast at some point because what an incredible career and what an incredible musician. So we will be moving MC Hammer into the final 4. Finally, I have no idea where this one is going to go. It's 2 seed Hold On by Wilson Phillips versus 4 seed Rhythm Nation by Janet Jackson. I'm going to go around the horn. Jim, Hold On or Rhythm Nation?
Stick with Hold On, I guess.
We're holding on for one more day.
One
Derek
more.
Mekita, is it Rhythm Nation or Hold On?
It is still Rhythm Nation for me.
Jonny Minogue, Rhythm Nation or Hold On?
Hold on.
I think Janet had a great coup in the first one, but I'm giving it to Hold On here. I'm throwing back my head and throatily shouting about holding on for one more day. Wilson Phillips is 1990, and it will continue into the final four. And with that, we have our final four. We're going to take a quick break to enjoy the silence. We'll be right back after these ads. And we're back with the final four of our best song of 1990 debate. At this point in the show, I like to take a step back and see if it shook out the way I expected it to. I also like to add that at this point, no matter which option wins, we're celebrating all of the entries, and I hope nobody gets salty about what happens next. So we have Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice, a 1 seed, versus Groove Is in the Heart by Dee-Lite, a 1 seed, and You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer, a 1 seed, versus Hold On by Wilson Phillips, a 2 seed. I don't know if it's where I thought we were going to go, but I think all four of these songs are definitively 1990. I think they're very different songs. I think it's super interesting that 50% of this are hip-hop tracks, and I would argue that while certainly hip-hop and rap existed prior to 1990 and had a huge, like the underground hip-hop of the 1980s coming out of New York City in particular was incredibly influential, this is when hip-hop broke into the mainstream. This is when suburbia started paying attention to hip-hop, and so I think it's right for us to recognize that moment. I would like to start with Ice Ice Baby versus Groove Is in the Heart. I'd like to start at the top of the pack with my friend Derek Mekita. Which one are you going with?
For me, it's Groove Is in the Heart, and I say that because I'm looking ahead to the next matchup, and if it's in my head, if it's between Ice Ice Baby and You Can't Touch This, MC Hammer wins that for me. So I'm sticking with Dee-Lite here.
You're playing the long con, and I appreciate that. I love that for you. Jonny Minogue, is it going to be Ice Ice Baby or Groove Is in the Heart for you?
I'm going to go with Ice Ice Baby. Groove Is Heart fabulous in Bootsy Collins, but it's going to be Ice Ice Baby.
Jim, is it going to be Ice Ice Baby or Groove Is in the Heart for you?
I already said it. It would be a groove in the heart. I also agree that Vanilla Ice versus MC Hammer. I lived that once. I don't want to really live it again.
It's such an interesting point. So this is a little bit of inside baseball. When we first did this bracket, actually Groove Is in the Heart was the number one voted option. It was the most popular one. And I was like, that's weird. That means that nothing but homosexuals took this poll. And I stand by that. But I do think that it is very interesting that we're coming back to this place and it's still here. It's still getting these votes. Ice Ice Baby, of the two hip hop songs on here, is the inferior one. It may have been the most popular in 1990, but which one of these has aged better? There's no question that it's Hammer. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Groove Is in the Heart here, which surprises me because I think I initially had Ice Ice Baby as my number one winner. That's 3 for Groove Is in the Heart by Dee-Lite. Going into the final 2, You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer versus Hold On by Wilson Phillips. I'm going to start at the back of the pack with Johnny. Is it Hammer or Hold On?
I'm holding on to Hold On until the very end.
Baby, you've just got to release me. Jim, is it going to be Hold On or is it going to be You Can't Touch This?
Oh, it's Hammer. Hammer time.
It's Hammer time. Derek Mekita, Hold On or You Can't Touch This?
2 words, harem pants.
Harem pants. I'm sorry, Johnny. You were getting absolutely screwed here. I'm giving it to MC Hammer. Please forgive me. Kind of what I just said. I think it is important for us to have a hip hop song in this final 2. I do think Hammer is the better of the 2. I think it's aged better. And MC Hammer is unique in that he's one of the only celebrities I can think of whose star imploded because he was overexposed because of how popular he was, right? That's literally what killed Hammer. It wasn't that he was bad, it was he was everywhere and people got sick of him. That gives us a final 2 of Groove Is in the Heart versus You Can't Touch This. Jonny Minogue, since both of your picks are out of the final 2, I'm so curious, where are you going here?
I think I'm just going to go with Groove Is in the Heart.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
Spite.
No, that's a perfectly acceptable reason.
It took out Wilson Phillips, so this is impulsive right now.
Yes,
wrestle it. So I'm going. I'm bringing it in. I'm bringing in Wilson Phillips for the last one. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Groove Is in the Heart. I think it's a better song that still stands up.
I love you for bringing in not only the spite vote, but also the Wilson Phillips deep cuts. Thank you very much. Where are you going to go on this one? Is it going to be You Can't Touch This, or are you going to go with Groove Is in the Heart?
It's really hard because Groove Is in the Heart is, like I said, the one I picture. It's the one I respect more today. But did I own the MC Hammer album? Yes. I didn't own the other one. Did I buy his second album? Yeah, I did that too. So if I'm saying what was ever present there in 1990, it's You Can't Touch This. What do I want to be the better? I think Groove Is in the Heart is the one that I remember more fondly, I guess, or don't have the baggage. And I think it's just skillful in like you said, the sampling and the layering. And, it's got artists in there that, Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, you got Bootsy Collins, you've got all these, great artists that in the production that's really impressive. But I think I have to still give it up for MC Hammer.
Okay, Derek, we haven't really talked that much about You Can't Touch This. So
No.
before I ask you what your vote is, can you tell us a little bit about why you like the song, why it's here?
Yeah, I mean, stop. It's Hammer time. Harem Pants became Hammer Pants after this. They did. We now think of them as Hammer Pants. It's fascinating that this song has so many similarities with Ice Ice Baby. For one, it hit the Billboard Top 100, a first for any hip hop or rap song, and it was only bested by Ice Ice Baby because that song hit number 1 first. So it's kind of a technicality, I guess you could say.
Uh-huh.
2, it sampled another iconic track, in this case, Super Freak. But it did end up crediting Rick James and paying him royalties kind of voluntarily. So it was a little bit more of an amicable thing there. 3, the combination of basically an infectious song along with a equally memorable music video made You Can't Touch This a cultural touchstone of 1990. It was everywhere. It was in TV, film, commercials. I don't think we could discuss anything 1990 without tipping our hats to Mr. Hammer. So while I agree that my heart will always be with Groove Is in the Heart, the thing that says 1990 to me the most is You Can't Touch This.
I think you just spoke to really what is resonating with me, which is I love Groove Is in the Heart. I'm so glad it's gotten its flowers this episode. It's a wonderful song, and I love Dee-Lite. Groove Is in the Heart is almost like the B-52s, a little bit detached in time. It could be really from any year, and it would still sound amazing. The fact that it comes from 35 years ago and sounds as great as it does still today is so impressive. But if we're talking about the song that is the most 1990 song, it has to be Hammer. And if you say that's super obvious, honestly, I did not have this song picked, I don't believe, when I first did this poll in the bracket. But to me, you mentioned, like, I remember The Simpsons having an MC Hammer bit with Bart doing, like, everybody did the Hammer thing. And it wasn't just the cultural, like, that is a great song. That is a great video. MC Hammer is a great entertainer. And he really did kind of usher in a way that, frankly, Vanilla Ice was not, let's just say, properly equipped to do, hip hop into mainstream music in a way that hip hop is the dominant song and the dominant sound 35 years later, right? And I think arguably that only happened because of Hammer. So I am giving it to You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. It is a great song to this day, and it was a great song then. So there you have it. Our pick for the best song of 1990 is You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. Do you agree? Do you think our musical tastes are poison? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or find us on Blue Sky or Mastodon. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you so much to my panel, like that bald gal saying, nothing compares to you. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Now, let's head down the Atlanta highway to the Love Shack. Tin Roof Rusted.